Hi there, I'm the Reverend Danny Crosby, a Unitarian minister serving congregations in Altrincham and in Urmston in the northwest of England. And I offer this devotion as a balm for the heart, for the mind, for the spirit, and for the soul. And it's titled Being Visited by Journeymen, Entertaining Angels Without Knowing It. Now, I made plans to go to Dunamassy with Molly, my little dog, and a friend on Tuesday morning. As it happened, it didn't work out quite as I had planned. This happens a lot in my life. It happens a lot in all lives, doesn't it? Plans are made and then things don't quite work out the way we would want them to. So I went for coffee with some friends after morning meditation. The conversation was going well, but then it kind of wandered down a few cynical avenues, and I left with a few negative thoughts and feelings. Actually, wondering what I was going to do with work that day. Actually, I had to begin putting the service for the week together, and I had no ideas. Well, I had one or two ideas around exploring thoughts around the god of surprises floating around in my mind. Now, as I passed the market walking home, I watched two eccentrically, shall we say, dressed women, they look like women, in black hats, talking with a couple of other people by the market. I wondered who they were. Anyway, I carried on home with thoughts of, first of all, I need to take Molly for a walk and a few other things about the day ahead. I decided to go to the small schoolroom first because I had to prepare for the Living the Questions group that were meeting that evening. There was a knock on the door. Of course, Molly started barking and looking at me and saying, "There's somebody at the door, there's somebody at the door, there's somebody at the door," in the way that lovely little dog does, that all dogs do. So I went to the door, I opened it, and I discovered there at the door were those two women that I'd passed at the market about maybe half an hour earlier. They introduced themselves as Yada, and Eva. Eva. Yada and Eva. Telling me that they introduced themselves as journeymen, and they were looking for somewhere to shelter, somewhere to sleep for the night. They had been sleeping outside for several days as they were travelling around the country. They explained to me what a journeyman was, and I'll explain that in a moment. It's not what we think. Actually, we think of journeymen these days. I think there's a type of boxer, isn't there, who just fights with all the young up and come fighters. It's a kind of just there to get beaten, really, or maybe a footballer who's played for 10 clubs in 12 years or something like that, just plying his trade, travelling around from club to club. Well, the original journeyman was something other than that. They explained to me what a journeyman was, and I'll explain that in a little while for you. They both had staffs and some baggage which they had to carry on their backs, not very minimal actually. And they asked if they could leave these things in the schoolroom. I told them that they could use the room to sleep the night and it would be free from 9 p.m. as I had my Living the Questions discussion group there till that time that evening. I also said, "You're welcome to join us, by the way, you might find it interesting." And then they left me, and I was stood there, blown away by this encounter, and pleased that my best laid plans of mice and men had not gone the way I had wanted them to. It seems that the god of surprises was well at work on Tuesday morning. Now, a little more about the journeymen. The journeyman tradition dates back to the Middle Ages, when an apprentice had finished their apprenticeship with their master. They were to go out on their wander, on their waltz, on their journey. Waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda. It's the same kind of principle as that, actually, as that famous Australian. That was a travelling bagman, if you like, but it's kind of based on the idea of the journeyman, actually. The journeyman, though, has to be presentable. The journeymen were to travel out all around, working for other masters, learning from them, before returning home better skilled. They were called journeymen as they travelled day by day. Journey coming from the French word journée, which literally meant your daily task or your daily travel. You can't go on a daily journey, but a journey is what you do in a day. It's like saying, I've been on my daily. Doesn't make sense, does it? But we say it. The journeymen went out into the world living day by day on their journey, living on their daily bread, if you like. They were to travel for at least 3 years and 1 day, and they could not, and then before they could not return as freemen of their trade until they had done so. And the tradition continued for hundreds of years, right up only really kind of almost died off during the Second World War, really. The Nazis, unsurprisingly, were opposed to the whole journeyman concept. And it almost died off during the years following the war. And it wasn't really till the reunification of Germany that the tradition began to truly be revived. And journeymen today, of course, are not only men. Jada is a woman and Eva identifies as non-binary. Now, a little later in the day, after I've been preparing actually this stuff, doing some reading up about the journeymen, became obsessed with it actually. I took Molly out for another walk and I bumped into them both again, and I sat down and talked with them just to find out more about them. In fact, they invited me to ask questions. They asked me if I had any questions to ask them. And then a little later, I went home again. And actually, as I was setting up for living the questions, there they were, sat in the chapel gardens on the bench, enjoying just the scenery and the day. And that evening, as soon as living the questions began, and we began to introduce ourselves, I just thought to myself, there's no point having this conversation about what I prepared. Let's explore, let's find out more about Jada and Eva. And they told us about themselves and their experience as journeymen. And what an incredible evening it was as they talked about their experiences on this journey. And they told us that they must travel by hitching rides and find some place to sleep each and every night. They are, of course, meant to work on their journey. They are meant to learn their trade, develop their trade from distant masters. Jada is a carpenter and Eva is a leather craftsperson. Now, of course, they were no longer allowed to work their trade in the UK as they are European Union citizens. They explained about their clothing, which is designed as well as the staffs that they carry in a perfect particular way. 6 buttons to mark 6 days' work and 8 other buttons to mark an 8-hour day. That's what they're supposed to work in the tradition. They talked about how on the journey it was so vital that they learned patience and understanding and not to get down if they had to wait for hours and hours for a lift, being rejected, sometimes being abused actually. They had to learn to pick themselves up and not to be down. The body language needed to be positive, they said. They talked about how the journey was helping them develop as people and to understand other people better. What struck me was how they could never be shy. They had to be courageous, how they had to be humble also in asking for help, and how they were offering to others this incredible gift, this incredible opportunity to be generous to a stranger, to be generous to someone at all, actually. To me, they were like living angels as they seemed to bring out generosity in people. They did in me. They brought out so much joy in me too, that was just by being in their presence. I cannot tell you how much the whole experience has moved me. I asked them what had brought them to knock at my door. And they said actually what it was, that they were talking with a couple of people at the market when I'd seen them talking with people at the market. And they said that they were recommended that they should come and visit me, the Minister Danny, at the Unitarian Chapel, as they would find a friendly welcome there. And Thankfully they did. I must have been in a good mood that day. I could have cried when they told me that. It touched my heart deeply. It said, I must be doing an okay job. I could tell you so much more about these two incredible people who blessed us with their presence, but this would be a very long talk. They were heading towards the Lake District and then on to Edinburgh before travelling down the Yorkshire coast and to York before eventually finding their way down south again. They slept the night in the small schoolroom here at the chapel. I said I would leave them. They were tired and I think they wanted to set off when they felt ready in the morning. So I said I would leave them and they would just to go when they felt ready. I'm sure they're going to bless many people on their journey around this island. Neither of them will be returning home for a couple of years, but I know that when they do, they will have so much treasure to share. It felt like I encountered angels. Brought to mind some word from the book of Hebrews, chapter 13. The line from the second verse, actually, it kind of brought this to my heart and mind as I was thinking about them on Tuesday. The words are as follows. Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing so, they may have entertained angels without knowing it. I felt like I entertained angels that day. Who of us is showing hospitality to those strangers in our midst? Do we show hospitality when we meet the stranger, particularly those that may look or appear or seem a little eccentric, a little strange? Do we show hospitality to those we meet? Well, it seems to me it's exactly what occurred last Tuesday as Jada and Eva were both offering and receiving hospitality wherever they go, and they are blessing and bringing out blessings everywhere. I felt on Tuesday that we entertained angels in this town. Now, showing hospitality and caring for the vulnerable in society is a key aspect of the Judeo-Christian and the Islamic traditions. You will find it deeply rooted in the Abrahamic faiths, and actually virtually every other world religion too. Hospitality is an essential spiritual practice, and it begins with an open heart and a generosity of spirit. It's about recognizing the good in life and in the people we meet, especially those in need, actually. It's about recognizing ourselves in those very same people, entertaining angels. It's about being open and welcoming to all, wherever they have been, wherever they are going, and wherever they may find themselves in this life right now. Tibetan Buddhist monks greet the strangers visiting their temples with, "Welcome, friend, from what noble spiritual tradition do you come?" The Christian monastic tradition has a long-held practice of taking in strangers and offering them sanctuary as if they were Christ, inspired by those words we heard earlier from Hebrews. For in so doing, they are following the example of Jesus, who mingled with all people, where no one was left outside the city gate, where none is untouchable. Recognize that within each of us. Now, sadly, this concept of hospitality seems to be on the wane, but it's at the. I'm so glad to see it at the core in the Journeyman tradition. They encourage it to bring it out in each of us actually, because it's in there. It's there. We just need to let it grow and develop and flower. In fact, hospitality to me seems to be the perfect embodiment of the whole concept of the kingdom of love that's alive, that can be alive right here, right now. I don't know about beyond this time, but it can be here, right now, and it comes alive in our hearts. And those journeymen, I think they have this gift to bring it out in us, as we all can if we follow the great example. It's unfortunate that our age has become characterized by mistrust. There is a fear of the strange and the stranger. But Tuesday reminded me how important hospitality to strangers is. In so doing, we offer true spiritual love and we liberate ourselves from the bondages of selfishness and self-centeredness. It sets us free by doing so. Jada and Eva seemed so free, actually, as they offered folk that they met the opportunity to be generous. There was a real liberty about their humanity. They reminded me, actually, of the following quotation from Joan Chichester. Hospitality is the way we come out of ourselves. It is the first step towards dismantling the barriers of the world. Hospitality is the way we turn a prejudiced world around one heart at a time. Well, I have to say, in listening to Jada and Eva's adventures, they seem the absolute incarnation of this quotation here amongst us. We were entertaining angels on Tuesday, and they blessed the town of Altrincham, and they certainly blessed me. I was thinking of Jada and Eva on Wednesday as they left, as they headed to find a lift towards the Lake District, I guess. I wonder how long they had to wait, but they would have kept their spirits up. They would have helped one another. They would have waited patiently for a ride. I thought about their journey, actually, and how actually they were just another embodiment of something rather wonderful, the concept of following your bliss. They were classic examples, really, of Joseph Campbell's concept of what he described as the hero's journey. They were on their own hero's journey, these journeymen. Campbell described life as a call to adventure, highlighting that human history is littered with stories and adventures inspired by the search for treasure and or wisdom. Stories like Jason and the Argonauts, or many of the other Greek myths, or like Pilgrim's Progress, or Gulliver's Travels, The Wizard of Oz, Jack and the Beanstalk, The Lord of the Rings, all these people on their journey. The list could go on. Humanity's canon is littered with folk tales and myths which teach us about this call to adventure, about the potential for both beauty and horror that is in life. And there I saw two living examples on Tuesday. Joseph Campbell spent years exploring these myths and stories, believing that these myths and stories possessed universal qualities that could help us to understand how so often life calls us out to adventure, often at the least unexpected moments. Well, Tuesday was an adventure for me on my daily adventure, my journey, and I didn't go anywhere. Sometimes you don't have to even travel. It comes to you if your heart is open to it. Now, Campbell identified four distinct stages of the journey. The first stage he called the call to adventure. This, he claimed, is caused by discontent, which draws us out of the comforts of our lives to risk something new. The second he described as an initiation, where ordeals are faced that test someone's mental and physical skills. The third stage is the time of revelation, the discovery of truth and of treasure. And the final stage is the return to one's community with wisdom gained and with treasure to share. The pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, the golden eggs, the golden harp, with gold, with treasure to share. The golden fleece, think about it, always seems to be gold. But obviously, not literally gold, but the most precious of things. With gifts to share, not for you, but to share with others. And the whole journeyman tradition is about being of service, you know. Campbell's adventures that he described, all these great stories, began and ended with a call. They began with a powerful call to adventure, but they also ended with an equally powerful call to return home. Just think of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz and those immortal words as she clicked her ruby slippers, or the golden slippers, or silver slippers in the book. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. Surely this kind of journey, this adventure, the call to adventure, the hero's journey, is exactly what Jada and Eva were on. Isn't this what the journeymen are doing, or what they do? Certainly, as I listened to them and they described how they were called out of the comforts of their lives to seek meaning and adventure, that's how it spoke to me. How they faced many ordeals with heart and with courage, and how they were blessed by the people that they met along the way, that they carried the treasure, the blessings. They're not the bad memories. How they faced many ordeals with heart and courage, how they were blessed, and how they learned so much about themselves, about other people, and about life on their journey. How they left gifts wherever they went, treasure everywhere, bringing out a great deal of good in this world. And eventually, they will return home with treasure to share. Wonderful examples of the journey, the beautiful journey that is life. On Monday, it's funny, maybe I was set up for this. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe I just see things in things. But on Monday, I stepped out into the chapel gardens here and I saw 6 magpies. I've never seen 6 together before. I told a friend about this and they said, well, you better keep your eyes open for gold, Danny, because 6 magpies symbolize gold. Well, the very next day, I discovered this golden treasure in those 2 remarkable journeymen, Jada and Eva. They blessed me and they blessed this town with their visit that day. They brought out the best in me, and I trust that we left them with a good impression and stories to share on their further adventures. I believe I encountered 2 angels that day. What a blessing, what beautiful treasures, what a journey. Thank you to Golden Journey Men, Jada and Eva. Thank you for your blessings. I'm going to end this devotion with my croaky voice, sorry about that, with some final words of blessing. We all, we need to bless more. I was blessed this week. And we can all bless. We bless by giving ourselves wholeheartedly to life. May you know that you belong, that wherever you find yourself in this world, that you belong as you are, exactly as you are in this moment. And may you extend this sense of belonging to all that you meet, to invite them to come as they are, exactly as they are, whatever time and place they may find themselves. And may we carry this vision with us, this loving, inviting welcome. May we be good hosts and good guests. May we carry the vision of love, the love of one another, the love of life, the love of God, and may we do so in all that we feel, in all that we think, in all that we say, in all that we do. Go in love, go in peace. Amen.